Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fifth installment, the fifth episode of the Crash Pad Podcast. I am your host, as always, Tyler Crash, and today I have an interview for you that I conducted with my friend, my New Japan correspondent, Julie Dilbert, as she attended recently the G1 special out in Long Beach, California. So she has that first-hand experience on not only the event, the matches, and her time in California, but she has some very, very cool stories. One in particular, meeting the amazing Kenny Omega. So you're going to hear reviews of matches. You're going to hear that story of meeting Kenny Omega. But you're also going to hear something I noticed is you're going to hear the passion that Julie has for this business. You're going to hear the passion flowing through her voice as she talks about this event. And that's something I love. I love being able to put that out there on a platform for people to express, because as workers, as talent, as fans of the pro wrestling business, we love this business. It's in our blood. It's in our soul. It consumes us. Me in particular, Julie, Japanese wrestling in particular, consumes her, and you'll hear that in her voice. But without further ado, here's the interview I conducted with Julie Dilbert following her time at the G1 special in Long Beach, California. Alright guys, here I have with me today my New Japan Pro Wrestling correspondent, Julie, who was at the G1 special both days out in California, and she's going to give us her take on things. I'm going to give my review on the couple matches I've watched from the G1 special. I'm not good at keeping up with New Japan, I'll be honest. That's why I have Julie as my correspondent for that. And it's very interesting that she's my correspondent because she is a Jay Lethal girl. So she's a little biased on who she wanted to come out victorious, but we'll get into that then. Julie, you were just talking about it. The reasoning behind your passion to go to this event. Just explain that again.
Yes, actually it was through Colt Cabana that I learned about Kenny Omega about like 5 years ago or so, and kind of followed him through PWG and him in the Indies, and then landing as the cleaner with the Bullet Club when he broke out. So I've been following New Japan mainly because of him. And when I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Wrestle Kingdom 11, and they made the announcement for the G1 special, I know this may sound a little naive or but I just felt such a great responsibility to attend the G1 special, to support their ambition to break into the American market. They obviously have some giants that they've got to kill to get the airtime, the advertising, the marketing, and being a company that's over 50 years and breaking into the American market. It's a great endeavor, and I just felt responsible for being there to show my support for that.
And also to be a part of history. I mean, it's the first time that they were on American soil, which is amazing after the longevity that New Japan has had. Mm-hmm. So getting out there, getting to California, just give me like a little bit of the rundown on what you did out there. Not even just the event, but like how it was out there. Because we're here in Tampa, Florida, so it's a completely different world. The fans may be completely different out there than they are here in Florida. So just give me like the rundown on how California is, how the California crowd is, how the venue was, just all that.
Yes, well, California was beautiful. Actually, being that it's July, I was expecting it to be, warm and humid like how it is here. But it was very cool. It was like in the 60s and the 70s. So it was, beautiful weather, great people. I stayed at a travel lodge in Long Beach, and I was close to everything. So I was able to kind of take in the sights and the sounds and the eats out there. So it was great. And in terms of the crowd, believe it or not, when I was standing in line, there were some people that were there that had never watched New Japan before. I was surrounded by some people that had not watched wrestling since Dusty Rhodes, and then they heard this event that was going on, and so there was it was not just New Japan people there, but there was actually fans of just wrestling. There were people that had not watched wrestling in a while, and they heard the hype about it, and they wanted to check it out. The crowd was extremely vocal. I don't know how to describe it, but you saw the production crew and the cameras and the lights and the tower, and Cheeseburger was there behind the scenes, and there were some ROH people that helped with work out the event. But the atmosphere was extremely intimate. It felt like they were just wrestling for us. The feedback and the response between what was going on in the ring and the crowd, it was a beautiful thing, and it felt very intimate. And you obviously saw, it was being recorded in JR and everything, but it was just, there was an intimacy there that I've never felt in any wrestling event, and it was special. It was historic. It was a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. Kind of sucks that the venue didn't allow the streamers.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a big part of New Japan itself,
Yes.
and just, wrestling now. It's just another way to show the appreciation for the wrestlers and who the fans love and who they don't love and yada yada. But also, something pretty cool happened for you. You got to meet Kenny freaking Omega. Explain that.
Okay, if I can do that with like a straight face. So, it was day 2, and Jay was extremely busy, and so we weren't able to like really meet up. We just kind of text each other, where we were, how we were doing, and whatnot. And he said, okay, well, I'm gonna find you on the last night. So it was during intermission, and he texted me, where are you? And he said, meet me by the curtain. So I went back, and it was after he was the second match with him and Omega. And so we were talking for a bit about that, because he told me, I thought they'd never wrestled before, and he said that they had wrestled long time ago at All Jersey Pro. So because I was really curious as to how you prepare to your opponent if you haven't wrestled them before. So we kind of talked a little bit about that, and he said, oh well, I'm just waiting for Kenny to come out, because I told him that I had a student here, and for you to take a picture. And I just kind of froze for a moment, because I didn't ask for that. I wasn't looking for that or anything. It was just great just to spend some time with him and to kind of hear how the match was and everything. And then so me and Jay are talking, and then Kenny kind of bolts out the door, and I see him from the corner of my eye, and then Jay goes to grab his arm and say, hey, I have my student here. And he came and looked at me, and I can't remember the first like 30 seconds. I think I took a step back, because I was just like, oh my God. And so he goes to shake my hand, and I was like, it was I don't know. It was just so surreal. I was like, hello, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. And then he's like, well, let's take a picture. And then he was like, oh, so have you been here for the whole thing? I was like, yes, sir. How do you like it? It's an honor to be here, sir. Like, that's all I could really say was to call him sir. And then we took our picture and everything, and, we shook hands and stuff. And it was a great honor. I always thought I would faint if I saw him, but I was able to hold my own, thankfully. But it was a great honor to meet someone that has such a love and a passion for the business, that's changing the business, that has had so many historic matches. It was and to see him and my trainer go at it, I mean, not many people can say that. And I had a gentleman that was next to me that was a huge Kenny Omega fan, and I'm cheering for Jay and yelling for Jay, and he's like, look, I like them both. I said, well, you have no idea, that's my trainer. And he was like, really? So my heart was torn in two to see them go at it, and I was just really hoping Jay would take the US title. But it was an amazing match, a very powerful match, and I know that won't be the last time we see Omega and Lethal go at it. And hopefully Lethal can take the belt next time. So it was an honor to be there.
If only you guys could see how red Julie's face gets every time she tells that meeting Kenny story. She blushes and she looks like a tomato. It's so funny. It's so adorable. But so now that we got the experience and everything out of the way, the matches. I've only watched a few of them. I watched the semifinals and the finals. I still have yet to watch the rest of the show and Cody versus Okada, which I'm very excited for. But the matches that I have watched were absolutely incredible. But let me get your take on being there live, these matches. Give me a little quick rundown on matches that stuck out to you. I especially want to hear about Billy Gunn, because I heard that he got little to no reaction or a very bad reaction.
Yeah, a lot of people were a little upset about who was invited to go to the G1 special. Billy Gunn was one of them, and some people were making their comments like, he's too old. We could have had, somebody else like Kota Ibushi or Goto or any of the other New Japan stars that are known in America thanks to ROH and, other promotions that they've worked with in the past and stuff. So yeah, his reaction was not the best. However, he played right into it. So he did his job, and as the match went on, the appreciation from the fans really came out. I think they were just like, crapping all over him, like, oh, he can't, wrestle, and, who is he? And, just a lot of, stupid, comments and everything. But as the match went on, the applause got louder, chants for him got louder. And I think at the end, people appreciated his match with Tanahashi. In terms of the matches, I mean, all of them were just beautiful. I won't be able to break them down and have like a biased opinion, because it was, like I said, each one was beautiful and they had their highlights. One that really stood out for me that I'm really proud for is Juice Robinson and Zack Sabre Jr. Of course, being in California and Zack's history with PWG, all the cheers and the chants were for him, and there was very little for Juice. I mean, people know who he is, of course, being that he was in NXT for a period of time, but unless you do subscribe to New Japan World, you really haven't seen him work. He hasn't really like toured around like in PWG and other promotions as much as, like, say, Zack, because that was his opponent. But and a lot of people are again making their comments, oh, wasn't he that hippie guy? And they didn't really get a chance to, they didn't know who he was. But that match was really, really powerful, and the crowd response just really grew for Juice Robinson as the match went on, and then the chants were even between Zack and him. So that one I'm really proud of, because not that he had anything to prove to the American audience, but he was able to show who he really was and break out of his previous persona, his previous gimmick, and be Juice Robinson. And that match was really powerful, and I'm really proud of him for that match.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I heard a lot about it. And I'm actually a big fan of Juice. I watched him in NXT. Of course, I don't follow much New Japan, but I really liked his stuff in NXT, and I think they dropped the ball with him. Mm-hmm. But and I love Zack Sabre Jr. too. Like, I watch him a lot to influence my style when I get back in the ring. But that's besides the point. So let's jump right to the tournament itself. As I said, I only watched the semifinals and the final match between Omega and Ishii, which was amazing. But all the matches that I've watched, but just the tournament in general. Let me get your take.
I believe the one aspect of the tournament that really surprised people was that Ishii defeated Naito. Naito obviously has a huge following thanks to LIJ and his destruction of the Intercontinental title, and and I think a lot of people were expecting Naito to go over, and to see Ishii, I mean, I was even surprised. I was even shocked. Not that Ishii couldn't do it, but the fact that Naito obviously has more face, more following, more marketing, more of a name to the American audience. And to see Ishii go over, I was really proud to see that, because it wasn't a typical decision that you would think, and it also highlighted a New Japan wrestler that, again, may not be as well known, but he really carried his own. I love Ishii. He's a powerhouse. He's a powerful wrestler. He doesn't have to say much. It's all in what he does in the ring. And he doesn't interview much, and because his power, his persona, what you need to know is what he does in the ring. So I think that part of the tournament really turned people for a loop. But at the end, getting Ishii and Omega and seeing that match together, it was something that really people enjoyed, because it wasn't the decision that people thought would be made. So the tournament as a whole was amazing, and it was, again, such an honor to see these wrestlers go at it for this new title and Kenny Omega has said in his interviews that really doesn't mean anything to anybody yet, because it's a new title, and to see and who would be able to carry that title and make it something, of course, was Kenny Omega as the winner. So it's taking this, the tournament. A lot of people is like, okay, well, yeah, it's a tournament for a belt that nobody knows, but the tournament itself kind of gave weight to the title, showing the importance, the work that the men did in the ring. And now that Kenny Omega is a champion, it'll be interesting to see what he does with that title to give it the prestige and the history, the beginning history of that title.
Yeah, I predicted that it was going to be Omega to be the U.S. champion. It's like well known with Julie and my other friends here at the house that 9 times out of 10 I'm usually right when it comes to creative. But yeah, I thought it was either going to be Omega or Jay. I was also shocked by Ishii going over on Naito because I thought it was going to be Naito Omega.
Yeah, the crowd response was like, oh, like it was almost like this 10 seconds of silence, because I mean they were all cheering for Ishii too, but of course it was louder for Naito. So when Naito was defeated, it was almost like this little silence that people were just so shocked. Like you heard this, like everyone just kind of like held their breath for a moment because they weren't expecting it, and they were like, it was mixed response. Not that people were upset. Again, it wasn't the turnout that people expected, because of course Naito has more of a name than Ishii. They know who Naito is. So it was nice to see on the second day the response that Ishii had and what he brought into the ring. The crowd was so behind him, especially with Omega and Ishii going at it. It was just it was an amazing response. And even though Ishii is not someone that you can kind of read his responses or would work the crowd or anything like that, but I'm sure he took away something. He took away the love that the crowd was giving to him with the work that he performed for us.
Yeah, he definitely earned the respect of a lot of new fans, and I have my opinion of him. I think I love his style, but sometimes that strong style of the warrior spirit, sometimes that's done too many times in my opinion, where it's just like taking away from these big time moves and these big time strikes and taking away from the other competitors. That's just my opinion, but I think if done less, it would mean more.
Yes.
Less is more. But my favorite tournament match was the Zack Sabre Jr. Ishii match, because those two guys went at it, sold, which was surprising for me watching Ishii, seeing him sell like that,
Yes.
and seeing him carry over that sell into the match with Omega, selling that arm that Zack Sabre Jr. was working heavy. And the catch wrestling of Zack Sabre Jr. is the best. Absolute beautiful work, and it inspires me. And those two guys just went to war, and I just think that match itself told the best story to me. What was your favorite tournament match?
I would have to say, it was that one, because they're two completely different styles, completely different sizes, completely different backgrounds, completely different training backgrounds, and to see those two styles clash and go at it. And I know I keep saying the word beautiful, but I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's the adjective of choice for this. It was beautiful. It was a great exchange to see how Zack Sabre Jr. would tie up Ishii, and then Ishii would power out, and it was just I think that exchange, that match right there was the best, because there was two completely opposite wrestlers from different spectrums of the industry and their background and everything coming together, and it was just it was a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty.
There's that word beauty again.
I know, I can't help it. It was just beautiful. Everything was beautiful about those.
Maybe it was glorious. So Kenny Omega, a Canadian, the U.S. champion, at the same time that Kevin Owens was U.S. champion, even though AJ Styles is now the U.S. champion. We'll see where that goes and what the outcome of that is. But I think it's amazing, because now, hopefully, they start doing more dates in the United States, start hitting more of the major markets. I read an interview of Cody Rhodes saying that if New Japan really does want to do this and want to break into the United States market, they need to hit the major wrestling cities, such as Chicago, such as New York, Philadelphia, Tampa, Miami, the meccas of wrestling here in the United States that have the most intense fans. And it would be amazing to, just drive down the state to Miami to see Kenny Omega. I think that would be so cool because, I mean, I'm a huge fan of his as well. One of my favorite things he's ever done is the Anywhere match. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out on YouTube. It looks like he just had fun with that, and he gets a lot of flack for the stuff like that he's done. My cat's gnawing at my arm right now. But Kenny is just such a phenomenal worker, pun intended, that he, replaced AJ Styles as the leader, the Bullet Club, and those guys together just have changed the business. And New Japan now breaking into the U.S. market is just going to change the business even more because it's evolving, and the style of wrestling is evolving, whether we like it or not. Some do, some don't, but that's the nature of the beast. And if you don't evolve and you don't adapt, you die.
Exactly.
What's your opinion on the changing of the style and, this New Japan Ring of Honor style of wrestling that is now the mainstay, where everything's very fast paced and it's not as eased into. It's, you don't see as much technical wrestling starting out the match. Exactly. It's a jump start.
Yes. Let's see. Just to kind of, I will answer your question, but I read an article. It was almost like a Forbes, Wall Street Journal type of article about New Japan's move to break into the American market, the pros and cons, the feats that it has to conquer in order to do that. And this event, first it was just going to be a showcase. There was no mention of a belt. Then when they realized that they really had a chance to do something special, they brought in the belt. And now, the G1 special now has implications on the G1 Climax 27 that starts actually this Sunday. And how this event was going to be make or break for them, whether it was going to be successful and they would move forward in the case that Rocky Romero is going to be the new head trainer for the dojo. That I don't know if, forgive me if I don't know if they're reestablishing a dojo or the dojo is already there or they're building a new facility, but they're going to put in a new headquarters in LA, and all this money that they're pouring into it. And the article mentioned how last quarter WWE made $700 million and New Japan just made like $97 million. And they were talking about, how it would be impossible to slay this giant, which is true. The American market is the WWE market. And they are used to a certain style, a certain way things the wrestling is done. However, thanks to social media, thanks to the internet, thanks to New Japan World, even though that it is sometimes a little hard to navigate, but it's introducing the American market to a whole new style of wrestling that is very different. It is more technical, a little bit more hard hitting, less gimmicks, less flair, no fireworks or anything like that. It's wrestling to me at its heart. And what I hope that New Japan decides to do is like, okay, we're not going to be able to slay this giant, but let's work on the areas that WWE does not have and highlight those, and that will bring in the audience, bring in the money, bring in the people in the seats. So I hope that do they have to be aware of their competition? Of course. But like when I had my business a few years ago, I had a lot of heavy hitters that of course made more money, had more space. So I worked on the areas that they were weak in, and that helped my businesses flourish. So I hope that's what they do, that they are less worried about, they have to be aware of the WWE, but they need to find and work on what's unique for them, and that's what's going to bring the audience to really get into their style of wrestling and make their ambition to come to America a successful one.
Absolutely, and I don't think they're trying to, slay the beast. I don't think anyone should be trying to hurt anyone else in
No.
this business because, the more places there are, the more jobs there are for people, and there's more out there for wrestling fans as a whole to access. And the thing for me growing up being a wrestling fan was TNA. When I found TNA, it was different, and that's what hooked me. But that's a topic for another day. Julie, thank you for talking with me. Thank you for going out and getting the first-hand experience and being a part of the historic event, the G1 special. And you'll hear from Julie for other New Japan Pro Wrestling related podcasts. But thank you for coming out. If you want to say any last-minute things, here's your opportunity.
Thank you very much, and I definitely encourage everyone to get New Japan World, which is $9.99 yen, which always falls.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The interview I conducted with my friend, my New Japan correspondent, Julie Dilbert. New to the mic, new to being on the podcast.
If you
can hear it a little bit in her voice, the nervousness. I have to ribber a little bit, but complete professional, well spoken. Julie, you did a great job, and thank you for telling me those stories and telling the people those stories about your time at the G1 special in Long Beach, California. We can hear the passion in your voice, and we appreciate it. Me, especially, I can only speak for me, but I definitely appreciate the passion you have for this business. You heard it from Julie, my New Japan correspondent. Get New Japan World cheaper than the WWE Network. It's going to be an incredible journey to see where New Japan goes from here. Breaking into the U.S. market with the Long Beach special, the G1 special out in Long Beach, California. And we'll see if they touch on any of the major markets in professional wrestling in the United States, whether that be New York, Chicago, Florida, Texas. I hope they bring something to Florida. That'd be awesome to travel down to Miami or, hell, in my hometown now of Tampa to see New Japan Pro Wrestling. That would be incredible. Update for you guys. On the upcoming episodes, I will have interviews that I will be conducting at the upcoming Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling show, Tag Wars, coming to you July 30th from the Big Top Flea Market. I will be interviewing guys like Snoop Strikes, Troy Hollywood, my boy Barrington Hughes of the Gold Standard. So many more. Don't want to name drop. There's already some on the floor, as Aaron Caden Green said in his interview. But incredible talent coming your way. Incredible interviews. Just incredible people. And so much more coming for the podcast as we get better at this, as the fan base grows. And I'm working with Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling as well as soon other promotions to conduct more interviews, to give you guys more coverage of the local Florida independent wrestling scene. And hopefully we'll branch off from there to giving you independent coverage from other areas, other talent. Who knows? You guys let me know what you want to hear. As always, keep me informed. I love to hear from you guys. Like, share, comment. Let me know who you want to hear, what you want covered, and I will do my damnedest to get that done. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Tyler Crash, and this is the Crash Pad Podcast.